Welcome back to Chris Simms Unbuttoned, presented by Lowe's. Lowe's knows home improvement. One more game to talk about. We've saved it. We've buried it at the end of the pod. So this is the part where we've already been going along. Matt Casey has texted me and said we can spend 2.5 to 3 minutes on this game. That's all we have time for. My Detroit Lions in the dream season. I said to you, my favorite Lions season of all time. It's even better than last year because last year was awesome and they got to a little farther, but it was just like this year they were just so dominant and like they were a lot of people's number one team and they were so fun to watch and they won blowout games like I've never seen before. So I loved this year and I hated the ending. Commanders beat the Lions 45-31, the final. NFL fan Matt tweets at us and says, "Sorry, Ahmed, love the homies." And I appreciate that, homies. I do. But if you're going to lose to anyone, you lose to the Washington Commanders because that is a fun team, and Jaden Daniels was fun to watch. And as I'm talking, I'm processing the loss here still. You might have to take over most of it. No, but like let's just start. Can we start with the Washington side of it because it really is like an awesome story for a team that was the second worst in football last year, the number 2 pick, to turn it around this quickly. I mean, like I know you've liked obviously Jaden Daniels for a long time, and I think you were one of the first people that were banging that drum that he was clearly a top 2 quarterback in the draft. Like even for you, what he has done on the field, what he did in this game, was it surprising or no?
No. It surprises me that it's just week after week after week, right? I'm not surprised, but I am, right? Because, I mean, we've seen it. So this is consistent with what we've seen. But I guess it's just another like, wait. Oh, playoff pressure. Okay, he's good. Okay, playoff pressure in a hostile environment versus the number 1 seed. Check, he's good. I mean, there's just nothing he doesn't check a box with. And, I mean, just with the game and how they play, it was a great game to watch, the 4th down conversions, how aggressive you guys are, the way they play because they know Washington, their defense is not that great. And Jaden Daniels in 3rd and 2 or 4th and 2 type of situations, damn, he's almost impossible to get him off the field. So, yes, I'm amazed by all of that. Let alone, was amazed that their defense, of course, made some of the plays they made last night against your Lions offense where, I was just shocked to see your Lions offense make some of those mistakes.
Well, I mean, it's like the way that the Lions have won a lot of these games. Like you give up a bunch of yards, but Kirby Joseph will get a pick at a key time, or you get a fumble or something like that. And it was just like the script was flipped, and it was Washington doing it. I mean, we've seen the Lions do it before, where they lost a turnover battle. What was it, 5 interceptions against Houston, and still came back and won that game. And here's one. I mean, it's like almost unheard of. It's like you lose the turnover battle 5-0, and still the last quarter of the game, you're like, all right, they can still get back into this game. I mean, that's just how dominant their offense was and how banged up and hurt and bad their defense was at the end of the year.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly right. I mean, their offense has to carry the squad, right? That's the big thing. We knew that your defense had issues. I wasn't like surprised that Washington was moving the ball. Did I think they would move the ball to that extent? Maybe no, I didn't think that. Right. But at the same time, we knew with Washington what they're doing. We call that ball control pass offense. The fact that he can run, the fact that Kliff Kingsbury's patient with the run, they pose problems for you. They do. And they know how to package it the right way to stress you out. And like turnovers or not, I think they were going to move the ball on you guys the way it looked no matter what last night. Certainly. But the big thing is yes, with your defense and the state and how you explained it with all the injuries, your offense needs to carry the squad. Your offense needs to dominate the game. Your team was one of those teams that was very good at, hey, we jump out at you early, right? And now you have to play a game that's a little different, and we can still play aggressive on offense and do all this crazy stuff because we're that good. And this is perfect. This is what we want. And they were like this. I mean, this close. It's 7-3. They're driving down the field, and I'm sitting there with my wife. I'm going, here they go. They're unbelievable. You just can't stop their offense. And the strip sack fumble happened. And that was different ball game from that moment on, where I felt like, oh, man, the Lions are going to get them down 14-3, and they're going to get Jaden Daniels throwing the ball on every play, and they're going to play all these crazy Aaron Glenn blitzes and coverages, and it's going to be just how the Lions wanted the game to start out, right? But unfortunately, that mistake was just the start of many mistakes throughout the night. And Jared Goff arguably played, one of the worst games he's played as a Lion ever since you guys got going, in the right direction of winning football games.
Uncharacteristic for him. I think we have the Jaden Daniels passing chart here, and we have a question also from Swish B after Washington puts up 481 total yards. He goes, damn okay, Kliff. He had every answer for that Aaron Glenn-led defense. Obviously, JD5 played incredibly, but Kliff called a really nice game. Do you give him a lot of the credit for what they did? Did they find weaknesses? I know Detroit blitzed a lot, but Jaden Daniels and Kliff were able to handle it quite well.
I give Kliff and Dan Quinn so much credit, and keep this graphic up here because I do want to talk about this, Pete, a little bit. But I give them so much credit for reinventing themselves, right? Changing some of their normal ways they approach the football game. I've been one that, I've been critical of Dan Quinn. I've been critical of Kliff Kingsbury. I like some things they do, but there's always been something where I've been, I don't love that aspect. But Kingsbury, patience with the run, the way he packages the run and the pass together, occasionally quarterback design run or moving Jaden Daniels. But look here, and this is where Jaden Daniels is so good. First off, all these short passes, one of them was a screen to Terry McLaurin that went for a 55-yard touchdown, right? So they do that. They control the clock like we talked about. They keep the clock running because this guy's so accurate. But to me, the two green dots down the field, that's when they change. And that's something you don't always see from them. You've heard me say, like, hey, big plays are really kind of the thing that holds them back at times. We've seen them go 15 plays, 60 yards, 17 plays, 80 yards. But I don't think you can do that and win the Super Bowl. There's going to have to be a few plays sprinkled in there where it's like, oh, no, there's Terry McLaurin deep down the field for a 50-yard game. Oh, there's De'Ami Brown. Boom. Right? It can't always be these long, sustained drives. And they sprinkled that in with the game plan last night. They'll be tough to beat if they play that type of style because teams will be a little more scared Philadelphia this week where they'll go, wait, we feel like we can play man-to-man, but they're starting to throw the ball down the field to be a little scary that way. That might make them rethink of how they want to play things on that side of the ball.
Yeah. Ross Mac 74 wants to know, hey, Chris, question from Scotland here. Love the pod. Is Jaden now the best quarterback in the NFC? I can't think of anyone I'd rather have in the conference. Well, now that gets me thinking here.
He's up there. You look at it right now with Stafford, getting later in his career. Jordan Love didn't have a great year. Baker Mayfield's damn good. Damn, I don't know. I'd probably give it to Jaden Daniels. I think our man from Scotland's right. I can't even fucking believe I'm saying that, just so you know. Sorry, Scotland, all right? But, yeah, I can't believe I'm saying that, honestly. But you sit here and look at the list right now, I actually got no problem saying that. Jaden Daniels is the best quarterback in the NFC this weekend. Jalen Hurts is going to hear that, though, a little bit this week, and he'll be motivated by that.
Yeah, and you'll have to go back down and get flipped off by some of those guys you were talking to today, your new friends. I think this is so.
Well, we got to hit on some of the Jared Goff stuff real quick.
No, we don't. There's no rule that says we have to do any of that stuff. This is our own podcast.
We can do after everything we talked about so far, this is the next biggest thing coming up, right? The strip sack fumble. I'm not going to blame him a lot. I'm not. That's tough, right? Stuff like that happens. His aggressive nature kind of screwed him a little bit on the in-cut pick six, right? He's got pressure. I love how, hey, when he stands in the pocket, he looks down the barrel and he throws the ball all the time. But he gets pressure here. You see the dots and somebody's kind of stepping up, hitting him on the side, and he's got to throw the ball a hair earlier than he wants to, anticipate it a little more than he wants to, let alone, as you watch this again, watch how number 1 and 20 and 23, they're all kind of expecting the in-breaking route by Tim Patrick, number 17. And number 1, I think that might be Igabanye. Is that who that is, number 1? He kind of got himself underneath that to where I think as Goff is throwing under pressure, he sees it, and he was hoping to get it over him and into Tim Patrick's hand. And, of course, it went 2 over him, and Quan Martin got the interception, pick 6. And that was the first moment of the game I went, oh, man, the Commanders can win this. They might win this football game. Because up until this point, I was kind of like, Detroit will weather the storm. They'll weather the storm. Their offense will start to take off here and wear them down. And they made that play. And then you start to go, ooh. And then what happens after that? They go down the football field, right? Or not long after that, before the half, when they're down 31-21. Down the half, he's got Jamison Williams for a post down the middle for a touchdown, let alone you're in field goal range. So if you don't feel comfortable making the throw, just, play and take the field goal and be down by 8 going into the half, right? Or 7. But instead, he's a little late to throw it. He's a little late to see it. And he throws it 2 upfield, and there's an out of bounds. There's an end line, right? So it was a late throw and the inappropriate throw at the end of the day. And that allowed the defender to undercut that and, of course, make the big interception and the big moment, which cost you guys points there for sure.
I mean, he had a bad game. He arguably had the worst game of his Lions tenure, and it just sucks that it happened to be in this one. I was texting my wife. She was down in the basement doing something else. She didn't want to be around me watching this game, and she was like, "What's the score?" And I go, "Hey, it's 14-10. Sam Laporta, just a great one-handed catch." And I was like, "I'm feeling great." I'm like, "All right, they're rolling. Washington can't stop us." And then I checked my phone, and I was like, "Wow, how long ago did I text that?" And it was like 13 minutes later, and it was 24-14 Washington. And I'm like, well, this is all turned. But this is why, like, this Lions team was my favorite, because I think we have the dots to the or we have one of the plays, the David Montgomery shovel pass to Amon-Ra St. Brown. You had that. You had the Teddy Bridgewater comes in the game, and you're still doing trick plays. It's just like my guy, Ben Johnson, it's just like he'll be my favorite offensive coordinator ever, because they basically had no fear. They played like they wanted to win the game. They didn't care about messing it up and losing the game. And a lot of times they had enough talent to pull off some of this stuff.
Definitely did. It was so fun to watch. So many creative. I mean, this play right here, that's as cool as it gets. I mean, I've never seen anybody do that. Now, I couldn't enjoy the creativity of Ben Johnson and all that. I think the only time I didn't love it, or, just last night, was the Jamison Williams reverse pass interception, right? And again, it's hard because when you're aggressive and you have all these cool plays and they've worked all year long, you just feel like, hey, we've done this, we practiced it, let's do it again. But of course, it's fourth quarter, right? And it's a 10-point, you're down by 10. And that had been one when he called that, where it was probably the first time all year. And again, I might look like I'm second guessing it, but I think you know me enough now to know I tend to play more in the conservative way when it comes to that type of stuff. I was surprised by that one, because I'm going, wait, it's 10 points. I get it, but yet I don't get it. You still got Jared Goff. You're still throwing the ball at will. You're running the ball at will to Jahmyr Gibbs. I don't know if that was the moment of the game, down 10, and maybe the clutchest spot of the year. We were going to go, let's Jamison Williams throw the football. That was maybe the first time all year I second-guessed Ben Johnson a little bit.
Yeah. I will say this, though, and, we have been philosophically, at different ends of the discussion on fourth downs.
Yeah, right.
But I will say, I do think the tide might be turning in my favor here with Dan Quinn now going for fourth down as many times as they went for it, and it was successful. I mean, we did see the Bills game today where they go for fourth down on their first possession, I believe, right, and end up scoring a touchdown. And then I believe they were going to go at the end of the first half. They ran Josh Allen on 3rd and short with no timeout, so I think they were prepared to go for fourth down there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, at the end of the first half. So now I'm not saying like I've won this debate. I'm not going to say that. I'll let other people say that. But I do feel like the tide is turning now when you see guys like Dan Quinn going for fourth down as many times. At least when you have an elite offense and maybe a not so good defense too, that you're seeing teams make the decision that we're going to try to get as many points as we can.
You already won the debate. You have won. I mean, you're not wrong. The league has already gone in your favor. Now I'm going to sit here and go, I don't agree with all of the league. That's me, right? But you've definitely won that argument, and it's certainly the en vogue thing to do. And I think, right? I mean, every situation is different. I get on it sometimes because it's like some teams are just like, go, no matter what, go, go. And I'm like, no. Like Sean McDermott tonight, he's been aggressive all year, but he was like, fourth and like a 2 yards in this moment, right? They were up by 5 late in the football game, 24-19. And he just went, let me go. Okay, it's there. Good. I just want to see sometimes common sense, feel for the moment, feel for the game. But I think to your point, too, and you kind of said it, we're going to see the teams that go, wait, our defense isn't that great, and the offense is the part of our team that carries us. They're going to start to do this because as we see with quarterbacks like Jaden Daniels or Josh Allen or whoever, when you give them 4 downs because of their ability to run the quarterback design run and that type of stuff, it's very hard to stop them. And so you've won the debate. Kudos to you. All right.
Wow.
But I just would like to say I don't think everybody has to go for it all the time. I think that's my point, right? Right.
Yeah. No, hey, that's, and I don't know if you would have said that if the Lions would have won. Maybe you're just feeling sorry for me now. But I can always, and Dan Campbell said this too. He's like, there are times when he's coaching in a game that he wants the other team not to go for 4th down. Like if you're having trouble stopping them, right? It's like in Washington and all those 4th downs, I would have much rather they kicked field goals on every single one of them. So that just kind of like shows you, if the other team's wanting you to kick it, maybe you shouldn't kick it. But
now listen, I think a team like the Eagles this week will have a different thought, though. They'll be like, oh, yeah, go for it on 4th down. We're fine with that. We got enough guys in the middle. We got speed on the edge. If you remember in their first matchup where Philly won in Philly, they stopped them on a few 4th down runs, right? But I hear your point. I think every team's different. Every team wants to play with a different style and approach and what they do that way. And I'm cool with that. I just get on teams when they go a little too overboard with the going for it all the time. But I understand it. And with the Lions and Washington and the current state of their teams, I totally understood them being so aggressive on that side of the ball.
Yeah, and who was really aggressive against Washington was Terrion Arnold. Not necessarily in the game, although he had a couple good plays, I think, near the end of that game. It was when he was playing them in Madden. I guess this must have been today, where Terrion took his frustrations out on him. I think we have video of it here. Okay, so there he is. If you know, you know. And then it switches around. He's playing on a PC, looks like. And he is up 103-0. How much time's left there? What was that? Was that 4th quarter or was like first quarter?
I mean, is he playing against a user? He must just be playing against a user and put the controller down. I don't know. That's not even possible to do that to the computer. I played enough Madden in my life. It's impossible to score 103 points in the first quarter.
Yeah, that takes a lot of patience, though. I mean, that takes a while. Yeah, you gotta score, and then you gotta have them fumble, pick up the other controller, and do something weird with them.
Hey, this young generation, they'll do anything for likes on Instagram. All right, so that's not a problem.
that is true. That is true. Is there
I feel
anything more
bad
you
for
want to
them.
say?
I feel bad for you.
Yes.
We were thinking of you in the Simms household last night. No doubt.
Thank you.
We were. The game was getting late, and I looked at my wife, and I was like, man. Poor Ahmed, he's going to be upset. So I knew your family would be. Yeah. I'm sorry about that, man.
Last year, it took me honestly a good 2 weeks to get over it. I feel like I'm okay. I'm now getting used to this losing in the playoff thing, and so now we can do this every year, and I can adjust.
How much good can you have in 1 year? Your team's awesome. Michigan won the national championship last year. You're doing all right in the sports world. I'm not going to shed a tear for you too much right now. Try being a Giants fan, all right? Yeah, you know how that feels.
Yeah. Last one, real quick, before I let you get 1.5 hours of sleep before you got to talk to Mike tomorrow. When did you talk to Mike? And I know he did the report on Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn. I mean, I don't know. What do you think? What's your gut say? Do you think they lose both of them? Neither of them? One of them?
I think they lose both of them. If you made me guess, I think Aaron Glenn will go to the New York Jets. I think Ben Johnson will eventually go to the Chicago Bears, right? I think from what I've heard, there might be some things that need to be worked out behind the scenes or whatever else. And there's some things there that maybe both sides want to get a little more comfortable with. But I think I'd look at the Bears as being the spot for Ben Johnson when all's said and done. And to me, I don't know what he wouldn't like about the Bears, right? Like you've heard me say, their offense is pretty set up. Their defense ain't bad either. I think now it just comes down to, is he comfortable with the GM? Is he comfortable with ownership and feel like that's a formula for success for him going into the future? We'll see. But yeah, I'm sorry. I do think you're going to lose both of them.
Okay. All right. Well, hey.
All right.
Dan Campbell will take Dan Campbell will just coach offense, defense, and head coach. He can do it. He's like the
they'll
new Chuck
find the right
Norris.
people. They're made of the right stuff right there. I guarantee this is the good thing. When you know you have an offensive coordinator that's been in demand, smart teams usually know that and know that, hey, we got to get so-and-so ready because he might have to take over. So pay attention to Ben's offense. What's he doing here? What's he doing there? And it becomes that. I bet you Dan Campbell sat in some meetings too and been like, oh, let me see. Ben's teaching that. Okay, let me remember that for next year. That's what he should do. They'll be fine. That culture is perfect and what it is there. And that's all because of Dan Campbell.
Thanks for watching Chris Simms Unbuttoned. It's playoff time, baby.
So make sure to smash that subscribe button, as they say. We got game recaps coming up. We got all of our Super Bowl 59 coverage from Radio Row. You will be in New Orleans yourself.
And you're going to be there at some point, too, whether you like it or not.
Okay.
Thanks again for watching. Remember to subscribe. Peace out, homies.